its structure and function. Now today we have a lecture on lesions of the spinal cord. The effect of complete transection of the spinal cord. If the spinal cord is completely transected, what will happen? This can occur in gunshot injuries, fracture dislocation of the spine, acute transverse myelitis, and it can be induced in experimental animals by surgical means, and the effect will depend mainly on the site of the lesion. So complete transection of the spinal cord may be because of the gunshot injuries, fracture dislocation, infection such as transverse myelitis, or may be induced in surgically into the animals. The first one is effect of transection of the spinal cord above the C5 level or fifth cervical segment. If the spinal cord is cut completely above the C5 cervical 5 segment level, the subject dies because of respiratory failure. If the lesion is above C5, both the phrenic and intercostal nerves are cut, and so the subject is not able to take respiration and he dies because of the respiratory failure. If the transverse section is between C5, that is cervical 5, and thoracic first segment, then the subject survives with the quadriplegia. The subject does not die because the phrenic and intercostal nerves are sapped, so he will survive, but he will have quadriplegia, that is the paralysis of all the four limbs. In this there are three stages. First stage is the stage of spinal shock. The stage of spinal shock starts immediately and it may be there from 1 to 3 weeks. What happens in the stage of shock is, first is the man feels as if he is cut into two pieces, one above the level and one below the level. Second is muscles are completely flaccid and relaxed. The muscles do not work, they are completely flaccid and relaxed. All the reflexes are lost, superficial, deep, all the reflexes are lost. Next is sphincters are paralyzed, such as urinary bladder, rectal sphincters are paralyzed. The fifth one is blood pressure is between 50 to 80 millimeters, and if the subject is raised, he has a fainting attack, but the skin is warm and flushed. If the section is between T1, that is thoracic 1, and L2, lumbar 2, then the blood flow is less and venous return is less. In that case, the skin is cold, blue and dry. If the section is below lumbar second vertebra or L2 level, then there is no effect on blood pressure. Above T1, that is thoracic first level, there is always fall in the blood pressure. The next thing is that the subject has lack of responsiveness to any stimulus. All the sensations are lost. All the reflexes, superficial and deep, are lost, except the anal reflex. Then there is retention of urine and feces which is present. Next is the zone of increased sensitivity or hyperesthesia, which is just above the level of lesion. Next is the reflexes just above the lesion are augmented or they are increased. The spinal shock does not depend on the method of transection. In the spinal shock, the higher the animal in the phylogenetic scale, higher is the suffering. What is the cause of this spinal shock? The cause of shock is not the trauma nor the fall of blood pressure. This is because of cutting of impulses from the higher centers to the spinal cord, which are normally excitatory. So all the impulses coming from higher centers, which are excitatory impulses, are cut, which are going to the spinal cord, and that will produce the shock. Even the cooling of spinal cord may produce the same type of the spinal shock. Second stage is stage of recovery or reflex activity. The functional activity here appears slowly and smoothly. The smooth muscles first get reflex activity, then sphincter vesicae and detrusor muscles, then the tone of blood vessels, because the smooth muscles are again present in the blood vessels media. So the return of blood vessels tone is there. Then the tone of skeletal muscles recover in 1 to 3 weeks. So in the reflex recovery, first the smooth muscle of the sphincter vesicae or detrusor muscle, these are the muscles present in the urinary bladder, they return to reflex activity. Then the blood vessel smooth muscle return to the activity. Then the tone of skeletal muscle returns slowly within 1 to 3 weeks. So reflexes reappear slowly. The first to appear is the extensor plantar reflex, that is also called as Babinski sign. If the lesion is above pons, then the stimulation of the plantar surface of the foot gives the extensor type of response. So this extensor response is called as Babinski sign, and this is present when there is lesion above the pons level. The exaggerated flexor response is seen because of the injury to the spinal cord. Then with the paralysis is there with the flexion of the muscles, spastic movement of the limbs is there. Reflex movement of the flexion are present, flexor spasms are present, and finally the muscles get contracture in the flexed position, so flexor contracture develops. Then the extensor reflexes appear after the flexor one. The extensor reflexes appear, they gradually increase, they can cause the magnetic reaction, they can also cause positive supporting reaction. In the magnetic reaction, if you touch the hanging limb of the subject in the lower part of the foot, this foot will give the thrust to your hand, that is magnetic reaction is there. The positive, this is also called as positive supporting reaction. The cats and dogs, that is the lower animals, can walk after the few days of the spinal cord injury, and this magnetic reaction disappears, which is the active process. Then mass reflex, which is absent, that is late evacuation of the bladder and rectum is there. Flexor spasm is there for both the lower limbs, and contraction contracture is followed by the profuse sweating and pallor below the lesion. Sensation remains lost below the level of lesion. Autonomic reflexes, that is reflexes concerned with the urinary bladder and rectum, reappear. The hyperactive urinary bladder may be there, which may be fibrosed finally. The coital reflex reappear slowly. The blood pressure and skin changes becomes normal, and there may be sweating and blanching in the skin. The next is muscular paralysis. Fifth cervical in the fifth cervical lesion, at the fifth cervical portion, the upper limb paralysis is complete. When the lesion is at sixth cervical nerve, then the upper limb paralysis is incomplete. When it is at T1 level, thoracic first vertebra or the spinal segment, then that spares the upper limb, and interrupted Horner syndrome may develop, which can cause and here this can cause the paralysis of only the lower limbs, that is called as paraplegia. This paraplegia develops when there is any lesion between T1 to lumbar portion. So any thoracic or lumbar part is involved, you get the paraplegia, that is the paralysis of only lower limbs. If it is at first sacral level, then there is paralysis of only urinary bladder and the rectum. There may be anesthesia in the perineum, the back of the thigh, back of the leg, and sole of the foot. So paraplegia and anesthesia are present if the lower part of the spinal cord is injured. Then you get the exaggerated response. After 6 months in the World War II, the subject who who had injury, gunshot injury or other type of the injuries in the spinal cord, 6 months after the World War, they have observed in these patients what has happened. What happened is deep reflexes are exaggerated, patellar and ankle clonus develops, the reflex extension and the contracture of the muscle takes place, mass extension or flexion reflex takes place, coital reflex is there, but that is there without emission. The third stage is the stage of failure or reflex activity. The reflexes pass off, the muscles become flaccid, wasting of muscle occurs, and the muscles are destroyed. If the subject is having spinal cord injury and the infection and toxemia are continued in the body, then this third stage appears. There is failure of reflexes, so all the reflexes become inactive and the muscles become flaccid, and gradually the muscle wasting occurs. There is splitting of the muscles vertically into the muscle fibrils and then transversely, and the muscles are completely destroyed. Now, second is effect of incomplete transaction of the spinal cord. In the first one, the complete transaction of the spinal cord, the whole of the spinal cord is injured or cut between the two parts. Here the incomplete transaction is there, gross injury is there, but this is short of division. There is no two divisions of the spinal cord, so they are connected at one part. In this, there is again first stage of the spinal shock, where the muscles become flaccid, reflexes are lost, sphincters are paralyzed, all the sensations are lost. Blood pressure may or may not be affected depending on the site of the lesion. Hyperesthesia is present and the retention of urine and feces is present. This is the incomplete transaction of the spinal cord. The spinal shock shows all these features. Second is the stage of recovery. In the incomplete transaction, the return of reflex tone is there, involuntary movement decreases, the extension of limbs is there, return of reflex movement are there, the extensor thrust reflex is there. If you touch the feet of the subject, that will give the more thrust to your hand and that will move towards your hands. Philipson reflex is that when you do the flexion of one limb, the other limb extension occurs. So this Philipson reflex is also seen, extensor thrust is seen. The deep reflexes in the later part are exaggerated or increased. The flexor type of response is seen and the extension of the opposite limb is there. What happens with the hemisection of the spinal cord? Hemisection is only one lateral half of the spinal cord is injured. So in hemisection of the spinal cord, which is also called as Brown-Sequard syndrome, the lesions are there in the one half of the spinal cord because only one lateral half is involved. So this may be seen in the cases where there is infection or extramedullary tumor pressing few of the fibers. The onset here is very gradual, or injury the spinal shock may or may not be present. Here there are degenerative changes and the functional changes. First one is degenerative changes. The degenerative changes may be the neural changes as well as the muscle changes. Now the first one, the neural degenerative changes, if the nerve cells are cut, the cellular damage occurs. If there is section anywhere at the spinal cord on one half side, anterior horn cell will degenerate. After degeneration, they do not show any regeneration. The posterior horn cell also degenerate. Because of degeneration of this sensory cell, the second order neuron, which is arising from here for the pain sensation, for the temperature sensation on the same side, are lost. Lateral horn cells in the spinal cord are again degenerated, and that shows the degeneration of the preganglionic fibers, which are supplying to the visceromotor, pilomotor and vasomotor fibers. Then damage to the fibers is there. Distal part of the division shows degeneration. The proximal part also shows degeneration to the various extent, and as well as there may be transneuronal degeneration. The changes in the muscle or muscular part which shows again degenerative changes. Degenerative changes takes place in the motor end plate within the 3 months. The muscle shrinks and slowly up to the 3 years, and if there is no regeneration, they split longitudinally into the fibrils and then fragmented transversely and finally disappears within 2 to 3 years. The reaction of degeneration in the skeletal muscles is present. The strength duration curve is altered and fibrillation potential in the muscles is present. So in the muscle they show the degenerative end plate. The muscles shrink, that is fragmented vertically as well as transversely. Muscle disappear in the initial stage, that also shows the reaction of degeneration, and the fibrillation potential is present. The functional changes in this spinal cord injury, when one half of that is injured, at the level of lesion. Suppose the level of lesion is at T8, then what will happen at T8 and what will happen at above the T8 level and what will happen at above below the T8 level. So first we will take the functional changes which occur at the level of lesions. The first one is motor changes. At the level of lesion, the lower motor type of paralysis is there because the anterior horn cells of this part, suppose the lesion is at T8, the anterior horn cells are injured, so there is lower motor type of paralysis. The muscles are showing flaccidity, decrease in tone, all the reflexes are lost, and finally the wasting of muscle is there. So the motor changes on the same side. At the level of lesion, the lower motor neuron type of paralysis is there with the flaccidity of the muscles, decreased tone of the muscles, all the reflexes are lost, and muscle shows the wasting. On the opposite side, there is no injury, so no change is there or little change may be there. At the in the vasomotor changes, the lateral horn cells are injured, so that shows the paralysis of vasomotor nerves and sympathetic connector neurons are affected. The sensory changes at the level of lesion, the posterior horn cells are affected, so all the sensations are lost on the side and the loss of pain is much more vulnerable. On the opposite side, the sensation of pain and the crossed fibers are lost. What happens below the level of lesion? Suppose the lesion was at T8, what happens at T7 and below the level, that is at T9, T10, T11. Below the level of lesion, the motor changes on the same side shows upper motor type of paralysis. The anterior horn cells here are intact because the lesion was at upper level. So below the level of lesion, the anterior horn cells are intact, but their control by upper motor neuron cells is lost. So upper motor type of the paralysis is there below the level of lesion. Here the muscles are paralyzed, but they have rigidity. They have increased tension. The reflexes are also exaggerated. There is no wasting of muscles and no reaction to this degeneration. So in the muscles below the level of lesion, they will show the upper motor type of paralysis on the same side because higher control is lost. So muscles are paralyzed, but they show rigidity, increase in tension, increase in reflexes. There is no wasting of the muscle and reaction of degeneration is not present. On the opposite side, there are no changes. In the vasomotor, changes are present on the same side. The sensory changes on the same side, proprioceptive, fine touch sensation, tactile localization, tactile discrimination are lost. The pain, temperature and crude touch are not affected because the crossed fibers are cut here, and that complete loss of pain, temperature and crude sensation is there on the opposite side at the level below the lesion. What happens above the lesion? Suppose the lesion was at T8, what happens at T7, T6 level. So above the level of reason. Here this will on the same side show hyperesthesia because of irritation of the nerve fibers which are in the surrounding, say at T7 or T6 level. Hyperesthesia is present on the same side. It may be referred on the opposite sides. So on the opposite sides it may or may not be present. Now what happens in the spinal animal? The spinal animal, the complete transaction of the spinal cord, the spinal shock is there, the muscles are paralyzed and flaccid, there is no tone, deep and superficial reflexes are present, and deep and superficial reflexes are absent, and visceral and vascular reflexes are also absent. The severity of this will depend on species to species. In the frog, you can see within few seconds he will be able to swim. In the rabbit, within few minutes after the spinal cord transaction, he can walk or he can move. In the cat, within few hours, cat can recover and can walk again. In the dogs, it will require few hours again. In the monkey, the few days are required, and in the human beings, 1 to 3 weeks or few weeks are required for regeneration. So higher the phylogenetical animal and the higher the suffering is there, the lower animal is there, the suffering is lower.